That's so. That was
I'm not gonna cover that bridge for you again.
Later, Mr. G.
Congratulations. You did great.
I'm so proud of you, Joey. Gotta get to bed. We old. You play 100 shows and one of them is killer. You don't get many like tonight.
Yeah. So, what happens next?
We come back tomorrow night and do it all again. What's wrong, Teach?
It's just I've been waiting on this day for my entire life. I thought I'd feel different.
I heard this story about a fish. He swims up to this older fish and says, I'm trying to find this thing they call the ocean. The ocean, says the older fish, that's what you're in right now. This, says the young fish, this is water. What I want is the ocean. See you tomorrow.
The human condition, identification with the mind. If we really sit down, guys, and pay attention to the chatter that goes on inside of our minds, and we track back every situation where the mind made an assumption and it ended up being wrong, it ended up being, just you misperceiving the whole situation. And we look at all these times this happened, you'll really see that the mind doesn't care to be right. As long as it keeps talking, that's all that matters. The mind exists in a state of not enough. It'll tell you when it gets this, when it gets that, listen to it, like really listen to it. It tells you you're going to be happy when you achieve something. You're going to be happy when something happens on the outside. How true is that? Huh? Do you really think, the future holds something that the present does not? Really sit with yourself and ask yourself these questions, because imagine your mind had a separate body of its own. And it could talk to you all the time and influence you and tell you, no, because if we do this now, it's not good enough. But if we do it later, then maybe it'll be better. Or this is how it sounds. It might not make sense, but the chatter goes on and on and on and on. And it changes its perspectives every day. Like, it finds new problems to get into, and like, when was the last time you didn't have a problem? Basically, that's really the question. When was the last time where something wasn't missing, where everything was just perfect? When have you sat down and said, okay, I'm completely satisfied with myself and everything around me, I don't need anything? I want to show you that the trap the mind has on us by telling us that, right this moment is not enough. It tells us that some future moment is going to satisfy us, which is not the case. I'm going to say it again. The mind exists in a state of not enough. It looks for more stimulation. It looks for more food for thought. And it looks for more just stuff to get in, to identify with, basically. It identifies with our problems. It identifies with our perceptions. It identifies with, being right or improving someone else wrong. And it's a loop that we could break. But we have to stop participating to be able to break it. How bad do you not want to participate? How bad do you want to break free from this mind, this chattering mind? How bad? It looks outside for validation. Like, guys, let's pay attention to how it behaves. And this is the ego itself. The ego is not a behavior. The ego is the separate self that is identified with the mind, the false I, that is identified with our problems. When we say I, we usually mean I, me, my story, my situation, and what I want. It's all about me, 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 me. Which is, the complete opposite of what the Bible is trying to teach us. Even Jesus. He says the kingdom of heaven is within us. I and the Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. I am the life. I am the Alpha and the Omega. He tells us all the time that there's something within him that's greater than he is. But him and that something greater are one. This book and other books in Buddhism and other religions all point to the same thing. And they're all trying to save you from the same condition. And they all agree that there's a problem. All these religions agree that there's a main problem. And it's the mind. See it for yourself. Separation from God is being identified with the mind. Thinking you're a separate entity. When you lose touch with inner stillness, you lose yourself in the world. Why? Because you're doing it by yourself. You're not aligned with anything. You're not connected to anything. You're doing it all on your own. And if you don't believe in yourself, if you're doing it alone and you don't believe in yourself, how do you feel? You feel like an isolated fragment. Like you feel like the world is against you or something. But when you believe yourself and in God, you have two people to believe in. But in reality, one. You are not the conditions this human mind imposes on you. When the mind is caught off from source, boredom, sadness, fear, anger, all these states come and go. But imagine being identified with the mind and experiencing them. You feel totally immersed in it, in those emotions, just as how you're immersed in thought when you think. You can't see it objectively. Start seeing your mind as an object, literally like a radio, MP3 or just whatever, just a noise-making machine. And just say, it's going to make the noise it wants. It's going to say, oh, why are you doing this? We got more important things to do. It will literally trick you into thinking again. It will touch on topics that are sensitive to you. Like it'll try every trick on the book. Sometimes what's helpful is focusing on one thought and letting all other thoughts pass by. Just focus on one thought and letting all thoughts pass by. The mind reaches to think again because the mind is afraid of not knowing. It's afraid of literally not knowing. But there's a knower deep within you that is yourself. Knowing yourself as this knowing, as this awareness, is freedom. Freedom from the mind and freedom from this world. This is how Jesus said, I have overcome the world. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Understanding that he used parables to communicate these teachings just shows how, intelligent and aware he was. The mind can't make it into an argument. The kingdom of heaven is within you. I and the Father are one, and my Father is greater than I. The mind can't argue with that. seeks to understand. You know what I mean? When you realize that you don't need to think to know, you feel at peace with everything because you don't gotta commentate on everything. Just be here now. Enjoy life right now. Life is happening right now. Do something. Do anything. Do anything that excites you. Nobody cares. What? You're afraid that a mind is going to judge you? It's not even dumb. Jesus said it. Lord, forgive them, for they don't know what they do, when he was getting crucified. If you're completely identified with the mind, you don't know what you're doing because you're unconscious. You know, you're not aware of who you are. You think you're just a bundle of thoughts and perceptions. You know, we derive our sense of identity through buying things, through seeing other people wear expensive stuff, or we think because it's linked to this person, it makes me look more valued. These things are not even clothes or material things anymore. They're identity enhancers. They enhance who we think we are, not knowing that we are all we could be right now. It's just all these layers of thoughts have us misperceiving ourselves and have us misperceiving reality. The mind is always looking for more stimulation or food for thought. Starve it. Don't let it run your life. Don't let it, influence everything you do. Even in relationships. The mind misperceives and it doesn't even turn into a relationship. It turns into an ego relationship. It doesn't love unconditionally. It loves with the mind. It loves with conditions. The heart could love with no mind. The heart could love without condition. The heart could forgive. The mind can never forgive. The mind can never love unconditionally. Don't let it fool you into looking for outside validation. You're literally more than you could believe. See it for yourself. See it for yourself. Meditate on awareness. Do self-inquiry meditations. And you're going to see who you are just a little bit at a time. This is far greater than anything else. This is connecting with the universe itself. This is connecting with who you are. This lets you move through life in a flow, and it teaches you a new way of living. The mind might be resistant to this. It's not a might, basically. It's definitely going to be resisting to it. Why? Because it's scared to lose its identity. It knows its days are numbered. And when the tool is not controlling the master anymore, you direct your life. You take control of what, you were put in this earth for. You guys all have amazing potential. Who knows what's within you right now that hasn't came out into expression in this world? Don't let this mind dictate who you are. You have no limitations. Unless the mind influences you to think so. Getting out of this human condition is by realizing this behavior in yourself and in others. See how people can't stop thinking. See the impatience. See how people are in present. See how people put a promise salvation in the future. They say, "Oh, when I get here, I'll be happy." see all these patterns and see the illusion break. When you start seeing this illusion of the way everybody lives, and the reason they can't call each other out is because everybody's living that way. It's like you can't tell another person they're sick if like everybody's sick. Nobody's aware that they're sick. It's just the way they are. There's a deeper knowing within you. Find it. Be with it. Pay attention to it. Give it life, just how you're giving the mind life. You put a lot of fog and clouds to obscure that within you. Let the clouds pass by. Let the stream of thinking pass by. And see what stays within you. Close your eyes. If you need to find that center within you, repeat I inside of yourself. And try to locate where you are. Who is the one perceiving you saying I? Can it be described? Don't try to understand it with your mind, because the mind is going to start chatting again. You don't have to say anything, because this knowing doesn't need words. It sees reality as reality, not as thoughts or perceptions or, labels. It sees reality for what it really is. It's just you're not going to see the shift right away because these labels are still in your mind. But starve your mind, let them dissolve, and remain in awareness. Have a great day, guys.